Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. Glad to see we've got Chris and Henrique have joined us. Maybe 2 seconds. We're on a new platform today, so I do apologise. We might be pressing a few wrong buttons. Anyway, we'll get going. My name is Steve Philp, and I'm the head of client engagement here at Portugal Pathways. And today, obviously, we'll be talking about the Golden Visa and how, obviously, it affects and advances your journey to Portugal. With geographical tensions rising and tax environment shifting, many international families are looking at a plan B. So Portugal's Golden Visa is one of the most sought after residency by investment programs. And today's session is designed to explain exactly how it works and why families are using it and whether or not it might be relevant to yourselves. And before we get going, I just want to sort of outline a quick disclaimer. Today's session is for general information purposes only. Everybody's circumstances are different and nothing discussed today should be taken as personal, legal, tax, or financial advice. If today's discussion raises questions about your own situation, we strongly recommend speaking with a qualified professional. Now, we really encourage you to submit questions and engage in the chat throughout today's session. We'll address as many questions as we can during the chat, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end. If we don't get round to addressing all of the questions, then the team at Portugal Pathways will reach out directly to you, answer your questions, and give you the opportunity to book a no obligation call with a specialist. So let me introduce you to today's panelists. First of all, we've got Chris Marsden. Chris is the head of private wealth here at Portugal Pathways. And joining Chris, we have Henrique Nunes. And Henrique is the lead immigration at CMS Law in Lisbon. So thank you both for joining us today. So Henrique, I'm going to start with you. For families who are not familiar with everything Portugal Golden Visa has to offer or have assumptions about what it involves, can you give us a clear picture of what the program actually offers today?
Yes, of course. Thank you, first of all, for the introduction, Steve. I think we can look at the Golden Visa as a second residency in Portugal, only by staying 7 days per year in Portugal. So the applicant makes an investment of 500,000, gets a residency, a second residency that allows him and his family to live and work in Portugal for as long as he wants, and freely circulate within the Schengen area, within the European countries, for periods up to 90 days. Of course, that one of the main advantages of the Golden Visa is that after the required number of years, it allows the applicants to have access to the Portuguese citizenship, to an European passport, and it gives, but contrary to what happens with all the other visas that we have in Portugal, which basically demand that the applicant is not absent from Portugal for more than 6 months in a row or 8 months in total. The Golden Visa only demands that the applicants are in Portugal 7 days per year. So an investment of 500,000, only 7 days per year or more if you like, but the minimum would be the 7 days per year. A second residency in Portugal, access to the European Union, and a pathway to a Portuguese passport after the required number of years of legal residency. So I think this would be the main features of the Golden Visa, Portuguese Golden Visa program.
Thank you, Henry. Chris, I'm going to come to you. We're sort of continuing to see more and more families from across North America, the UK, the Middle East, and obviously parts of Asia looking for a Plan B solution, with many choosing Portugal's Golden Visa. What do you think is driving that shift, and why is Portugal's Golden Visa the main choice?
Well, thanks a lot, Steve, and good afternoon, everybody. And what a question! That's all I can say. What's driving that shift? That's a great question. I mean, if you're in America, there's many things that could be driving it. It could be just the fact that the current president is a little a little more, how should we say, erratic. It could be that family have moved over here. I think effectively just world geopolitics means that having a plan B is a good thing. If you're from the Far East, there are issues out there that could go wrong. If you're in the Middle East at the moment, there are issues there. So I think geopolitical is probably the real big one. Geopolitical instability. That there are lots of areas around the world that are less safe than Portugal. In fact, many areas that are less safe than Portugal. But I do think that geopolitical instability, it just makes people sit up and take notice. It makes them look around and go, okay, what can I do for my family? Just to have a plan B, just in case. If something goes wrong and I need to move, where can I go that I like? I think that's one big driver. I think another huge driver is just taxation and regulatory changes that are going on around the world, particularly in Europe. We're seeing Europe being an area, parts of Europe being areas where taxes are rising, particularly taxes on inheritance and passing money down generations. And we've seen in the UK, we've seen that. We've seen people specifically make decisions to come out and live in Portugal because of the changes that have gone on recently in the last two budgets. I think one of the big drivers of it is to give people from outside of Europe a foothold into the Schengen area. As Enrique was saying, the fact that you can visit the Schengen area and eventually, you'll get your residency card and then you'll get your citizenship, which will mean full unsolicited travel. It's all a big driver for these things. And I do think there is a driver of taxation, with the new IFICI or NHR 2.0, as people call it, regime. There are big tax benefits for people coming to live in Portugal, being resident in Portugal tax-wise. So it's really just it's a combination of things. But I think if you come down to it, one of the big things, the geopolitical instability makes everyone's head come above the parapet and think more about what can I do and why do I need to do it.
Okay, just keep on that theme, Chris. One of the reasons, obviously, Portugal keeps coming up in these conversations is not just the program itself, but Portugal as a country. For families thinking about where to anchor a plan B in Europe, what does Portugal stand for? What does it offer?
Well, I'm biased. I work for Portugal Pathways, but I think it's, if you compare it to other golden visa options, I think the Portugal option is very accessible. I think the Portugal option gives you lots of flexibility, much more flexibility than other areas. I think Portugal as a country, when people come here, people understand, it's consistently ranked among the safest countries in the world. It's part of the European Union, so politically it's stable. It's got a great, if you're going to move here with family, education is vital. It's got great international schools. It's got great healthcare. All of these types of things, I think, add together to really kind of make Portugal an option that people need to look at. One of the other areas I think that drives people is that there are big international communities. So there are Irish communities, UK communities, US communities. Some people like to go straight into a big city. Others like, there are various little enclaves that might have different nationalities around them. But I do think that once people look around, Portugal's connected. It's connected to the US. It's connected to the Middle and Far East. So there are real reasons around why people come to Portugal. Other EU jurisdictions, you're stuck. Stuck's a hard word, but you're not as connected. You're definitely not in that place where you've got direct flights to and from the US, to and from the Far East, to and from the Middle East.
Okay, thank you.
Let me just add
well,
something really
of
quickly,
course.
Steve, related to this, because it's true that contrary to what happened in the beginning, I think it's also related with the stage that the world is facing. Right, there's this craziness all around the world, in the United States, in the Middle East, all over the world. Most of the clients that we have nowadays, well, most of them are Americans or from the UK, some of the Middle East, and most of them are Americans, and all of them say, with no exception, that they look at the Portuguese Golden Visa as a backup plan, okay? For reasons of political stability, for reasons of safety, for reasons of quality of life. But it's true that one of the main reasons why people are looking so much for the Portuguese Golden Visa, it's because of this idea of a plan B, of a backup plan that doesn't demand that people lives in Portugal 24/7. Okay, I think that this is the main idea. It's true.
Thank you, Henry. Before we move forward, we're just going to put another little poll up, which my colleague will do. It just gives us a bit more insight into what your sort of motivators are and what is sort of driving your interest in that plan B with regards to residency. So whilst a colleague of mine puts that, we'll just move on a little bit. Chris, for investors and families who are looking at investing 500,000 euros in a fund but are unsure where to start, what advice do you have, and how does Portugal Pathways support them? So we'll put a poll up.
Okay, so the advice is do your due diligence. Do talk to people, understand what's going on, understand the funds that are there, look around at what's there. What we do to help is we have what we call our, as you can see, our Golden Visa Investment Fund Index, which gives you a whole raft of choices of funds. We rate them, we rank them, we tell you how their performance is done, and we work with these funds. And what we've done is, we've kind of filtered it down so you don't have to look at, I think there are 60 to 80. Rick could probably tell me exactly kind of close to the number. But
the number of funds existing for Golden Visa, oh my God, they are endless nowadays. So it's good to have a Golden Visa index. Yes.
Yeah. So the whole idea behind the index is that we take, we filtered it down into kind of the top funds, the larger ones. You got to remember you've got open and closed funds, so that's important. How long do you want to tie your money up for? What do you want to do with it? All these types of things. So it's about talking to trusted experts, which we can help put you in touch with. We can run you through the process of, okay, so you want the Golden Visa. Okay, next step is what fund you want to look at, or what type of funds, what's your appetite for risk, how long are these funds open for. But I think in general, what we give you is a very soft landing around it, and the importance is to have very trusted partners to help you do your due diligence. So we work with Enrique on the immigration side, but we also work with people on the investment side who will show to us who will talk to us about investment funds. I mean, probably 3, 4, 5 years ago, people were solely buying properties. Now you can't buy property, so what you have to do is look at these funds, and you have to do good due diligence. And I can heartily recommend. First step is to look at the Golden Visa Index. Have a look at those. Have a look at the different types of areas that are invested in. From renewables to hospitality to healthcare. Very media and events. There are so many different areas that you can look at that Portugal are doing. And one thing is this money is not going to waste for you. This is going to good solid areas that in the long term should make you money as well. So not only are you getting the Golden Visa and all the benefits of Portugal and the Plan B, what you're getting as well, I think, is access to a very, very growing economic area.
Okay, thank you, Chris. One of the questions that we're just standing on this theme, one of the questions that we get asked or hear most often from investors is that they have assets, but they don't want to sell them in order to fund the investment. Sorry. Can you walk us through how families are structuring their Golden Visa without having to liquidate their existing portfolio?
Yeah, I mean, one of the areas that we work closely with clients, and I have done over crikey, comes 35, 40 years, is one of the things that you don't need to be doing is creating tax events and crystallizing asset prices when you don't need to, because who knows whether it's a good or a bad time to buy or sell an investment. If you'd have sold your investments and it's a lower part of the market, you don't want to be doing that. Equally, it will probably create a tax event on wherever you are in the world. So what we do is we work with various banks, and this is a very standard way that wealthy people manage their lives. Is they generally don't sell assets. What they do is borrow against their assets. So your assets stay invested. The bank will lend you somewhere around about 60 to 65% of your portfolio, which you can then use to invest into the golden visa. So, for instance, you've got £1 million of assets, or €1 million, sorry, of assets. You borrow the 500,000 euros out of that. You invest into your golden visa funds. There's an interest rate to pay, but as long as that interest rate is low, which it should be because it's based on the European bank base rates, you're not based on in the US or the UK. It would be a euro base rate that we would use, and those interest rates are lower. And so then what you'd look at is you've got competitive rates at relatively low interest rates, and if you're investing in strong returning funds, you're kind of leveraging your assets to make them work harder for you. But it also means that if you're in cashing and then you've got a tax bill to pay and something else to pay on top, well then you're going to have to encash more of that €1 million that you've got under management, and you don't want to be doing that. So we will sit down with you and work out, do you want to borrow the full $500,000, or do you want to borrow 300 and encash 200? There's a whole raft of ways this can work, but this is the way that wealthy people manage to have assets around the world, because what they have is they have a rump of assets that they use to actually leverage against, that they can then use for other assets. It's a very straightforward way of borrowing money, but it's very tax. You can read the chart. It's tax efficient, it's flexible, and your investments stay invested where you want them to be invested.
Steve? I think we lost
Steve, you're on mute. Are you on mute or no?
No, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, now
we got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, but having problems with connectivity.
No problem.
Apologies. Henry, for families who decide that the golden visa is right for them, what does a process actually look like from start to finish, and what are the parts that most families often misunderstand or underestimate?
Yes. Okay. So before going to the process itself, which I will try not to bother with technicalities, just go with the bullet points. I think that one of the main questions that people ask us when they decide to move forward, when they are still trying to decide to move forward, that it's important to touch base here, is that the fact that you are investing in golden visa and are a golden visa holder in Portugal will not imply that you pay taxes in Portugal. Okay. So one thing will be your immigrant status, another thing will be your tax status. If you don't want to pay taxes in Portugal, in principle, you won't pay taxes in Portugal unless you have any kind of taxable profits or return that needs to be taxed. So, the fact that you ask for a Portuguese golden visa does not imply that you pay taxes in Portugal. On the contrary, in principle, you will need to choose to pay taxes in Portugal for that to happen. Regarding the process itself, so as we are talking about families, I would just make a quick mention to the fact that because there's a mislead information online that sometimes clients ask me, there is no limit of age for the family unification request. Okay, so children, first of all, the spouse can be included, either married, either proving a civil partnership, and according to the Portuguese law, you can prove a civil partnership by demonstrating with specific exact information and data that you have been living together with your spouse for more than 2 years, joint bank accounts, rental agreements where you make the mention of both spouses. So there are many ways of doing it. So spouse, either to marriage certificate and or civil partnership, and any children, as long as we demonstrate that they are not married and they are enrolled in some kind of school as full-time students or university or PhD or whatever, being the main applicant or his spouse, the responsible for the payment of the tuition fees. Okay, so this would where also the parents can be included. With no proof of dependence relationship, as long as we demonstrate that parents of the main applicant and spouse, of course, if they are more than 65. Okay, so if they are more than 65, we can include the parents of the main applicant or of the spouse. If they are less than 65, we need to prove, we can include them, but we will need to prove dependence relationship. Regarding the process itself, so the idea is that the client feels supported along the way since moment zero until the moment the cards are issued. Okay, so the first step would be asking for a Portuguese tax ID as non-resident for the main applicant. We would then start opening a Portuguese bank account. While we are waiting for the KYC of the bank account to run and to be completed, we will start gathering the documents, namely criminal records, birth certificates, marriage certificates, all the personal documents we need to gather. At the same time, the client would choose, as Chris was saying, would start speaking with, doing their due diligence and speaking with the management entity of the funds or different funds in order to choose their investment. They make the investment. We will have a bank statement and a management entity statement attesting that the transfer was completed and the investment is made. We file online those investment documents together with the personal documents I was mentioning: criminal record, birth certificates, marriage certificates, and all the rest. We file it online. After that, the family, so the main applicant and his family, is called for the biometrics appointment, which is the first moment that the client needs to come to Portugal. So all the rest that I described before, asking for the Portuguese tax ID, opening the bank account, making the investment, gathering all the documents, all of these can be done remotely. The biometrics appointment, it's the first time that they will actually need to come to Portugal. What is the biometrics appointment? Is the appointment where fingerprints, picture, and signature is going to be collected for the cards to be issued. Okay, after the biometrics appointment, usually around 4 or 5 months after that, we should have the cards being issued, because the issuance of the cards is paid at the biometrics appointment. I think it's important and reasonable to say that now the golden visa, it's difficult to say exactly how long it takes. It's getting much better, but it's much more time consuming than it was in the beginning. So for all the clients who are eventually in a rush, because I saw a question, this is going to meet one of the questions they already saw in the chat. For any clients who are in a rush to get a visa for Portugal while they are waiting for the golden visa, we can in 90 days get a residence visa at the consulate of a different visa while we are waiting for the Portuguese golden visa. So we cannot say exactly how long will it take. We have ways of expediting, and if necessary, we can discuss them. But for all the clients who by any reason they fell in love in Portugal, they want to come now, they don't want to wait for the Portuguese golden visa, we can ask for the Portuguese golden visa. At the same time, we ask for a different type of visa at the consulate, and in 90 days we would get the residence visa. Okay. So, and regarding the process, it's this. Let me just finishing by saying that the idea is that, as I was saying, you feel supported along the way since the beginning. You can contact either us or Portugal Pathways since moment zero. We will be here. The idea is that you feel supported while you are collecting the documents, while you are choosing the funds in which to invest, and up to the moment the cards are issued. So I think it's this, Steve. I don't know if you want me to add anything.
No. I think you've sort of covered everything there, Henrik, and anything that I think we've got a few questions in the chat relevant to that, so we'll readdress those.
Yes, I would. I want to readdress in the end when we get there. Yeah.
Okay. So moving on, Chris, across to you. So many of the families that are with us today have financial lives spread across multiple countries, assets in the US or the UK, properties in several different places, and income from different sources. So how do you approach structuring wealth from someone in that situation, and what does good actually look like?
Well, that's a great question, Steve. And as you can imagine, most people that want a golden visa or a Plan B will have multi-jurisdictional issues, and it's a matter of sitting down and putting a plan together, making sure that they're whatever they do in Portugal or the US or the UK or the Far East or China or wherever they're coming from does not cut across what they're doing. What they're doing at home. We need to make sure that investment structures that you may think work well in your home country may not work well in Portugal. If you've got a if you've got I don't know, if you've got an Isle of Man trust that is used as part of your family that you've had for years, we've had this before. They don't work in Portugal, so we have to either unwind them or we have to make sure that we put things in between that make it less of an issue for you. But we will sit down with you. We will put a plan in place. We will make sure that what you get is a strong understanding of what we're doing and why we're doing it. There are certain vehicles in Portugal that you would want to use and certain vehicles that you may not want to use. So it's very important that you take some advice and not just rely on something off that, as Henri was saying. Don't rely on stuff off the internet or off ChatGPT or off anywhere like that. It will give you some background, right? And that's great. That gives you information. I love it when clients come with information, they come with questions, because that's brilliant. But generally, it's actually, as you said right at the beginning, everything is unique. Every single person is unique. Every family is unique. We're just moving a family from the UK. It ends up that one of them, the principal is going to move out the UK. The wife is going to stay in the UK. One of the children is at university in the US. So there are so many overlapping parts, and you just need to make sure that everything works well and everything does. One doesn't cause a real problem elsewhere, and that's where multi-jurisdictional planning comes. And for people on this call, on this webinar, who are looking at a Plan B, the Plan B can become very live very quickly. Believe me, we've had people that made the decision to leave their home country, go somewhere in the Middle East, and have now decided, that isn't for me anymore. I need to come back. They need to go somewhere else. So, everything's subject to change. Nothing is set in stone. And our job, particularly on the private wealth side, is to work with you to provide solutions for what you do.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. We're getting lots of questions in the chat, and we'll have a little bit of an extended sort of Q&A at the end, so we will get round to answering the majority of those. But before we do, Henrique, we also have to sort of quickly touch on the recent developments and questions around the nationality change, the law change in Portugal. I'm sure, obviously, some of the audience today are curious about that. Can you give us sort of an up-to-date sort of overview on where we are?
Yes. So, well, without telling the story since the beginning, otherwise it doesn't. So let's basically right now. So as almost everyone here listening to us right now should be aware of, there's an ongoing amendment to the citizenship law. The Constitutional Court sent it back to the Parliament. The Parliament made some amendments. The document is now with the President for promulgation. The deadline for promulgation, accordingly to the information that was made publicly 2 weeks ago, should finish within this week. So this week we should have news about the promulgation. Everyone is expecting promulgation, but he may also decide to send the part that it was not sent to the Constitutional Court to send it, or to exercise his right of veto. Okay, in which case it would be sent to the Constitution, to the Parliament again. But apparently is going to promulgate it, and that should happen within the next days. This doesn't mean that will immediately enter into force. The document will, the new law will only enter into force after the publication in the Portuguese official gazette. But yeah, so it's the new law is now with the president for promulgation, and we should have news within this week.
Lovely. Thank you, Henrik. Thank you. And before we sort of move into the questions, we've got just a quick note. Obviously, if today's session has raised questions about your own situation, whether that's investment structure or the application process or how to asset leverage finance might work for you, obviously we've been sharing links during the session within the webinar itself to sort of arrange a no obligation sort of consultation call with one of our golden visa experts. So please obviously take advantage of that if you've got anything specific. But let's get into the questions. First of all, we've got a question here. We've got a new bit of software, so it should come up on screen from Bruce. Bruce's question, and Henrik, if you could take this one forward.
Yes.
For families who want a European Plan B but aren't sure if Portugal is the right country, how does Portugal compare to other golden visa programs in Europe?
I think that the main question is what would be the purpose when you say that, Bruce, and anyone else, when looking at the golden visa, the main purpose of the Portuguese golden visa is getting an European passport, right, without the need of living in Europe. At least almost all the people I speak to are within this group are within this intention. So the main difference of the Portuguese golden visa when compared with other golden visa programs is that, first, contrary to what happens, for instance, in Spain or in Greece, or it's much easier and much more simple to get the citizenship without living here. So the Portuguese citizenship is still being granted for golden visa applicants who are not living here and do not have tax residency here. And if you look at all the others, all the other golden visa around Europe, first of all, Greece is a problem because they are not giving citizenship. We are having, I think everyone is already aware of this. There are many clients, mostly Americans, that got to the conclusion that after the 5 years, they are not getting the citizenship, so they are moving to other European golden visa programs. This is the first problem, if they give or not the citizenship, like in Greece, where they are not giving the citizenship. And second, if they demand that people pay taxes or live in the country a little bit before the citizenship request, like it happens, for instance, in Spain, okay, where you need to live before in a few. I think that changed recently. I don't know if it's 1 year or 6 months, but it's something like this. You need to demonstrate that you live, and they need to demonstrate the connection with the country in order to be able to ask for the Portuguese citizenship after the 10 years of legal residency. And in other European countries, you also need to pay taxes in order and to demonstrate the connection. Okay, this with the programs I know. If alongside with all the other things related with being a safe place, being a politically stable country, having an amazing quality of life, I think that this makes a difference. But in short terms and in summary, I would just say that when compared with the other Portuguese golden visa, it is still the most straightforward in what concerns the citizenship being granted, which I think that is the main purpose of all the golden visa applicants.
Thank
Can
you,
I jump in, Steve?
Yeah, of course, can.
Yeah, so totally agree with Enrique there. It's the length of time you have to spend in Portugal every 2 years. So 14 days over 2 years is much less onerous than for most of the other European countries. So I'm dealing with clients who have looked around. They've looked at Gibraltar, they've looked at Cyprus, they've looked at Dubai. They've looked at many other areas, and they've come down on the side that actually Portugal is by far the best option for them overall for everything. It's a bit like I said earlier on.
No, it's true. It's true.
It's a bit like I said earlier on. The connectivity is important, or the lifestyle is really important, but actually, it is also the fact that if needs be, this family have got they got family in the States, they've got family in Australia, so for them to try and stay in any one country for 6 months at a time is pretty hard. So that's where the flexibility really does help.
Yes, but I think that in Spain, for example, or in Italy, I think that it's more or less the same number of days. It's that's why I was going for the tax and but yes. So I think that it's when compared with the other Portuguese with the other European golden visas, it's still really competitive and the most interesting regarding the minimum stay requirement and the granting of citizenship in the end.
Lovely, thank you. So, question from George. Either or both of you can jump in on this one. So, in theory, can I invest in the golden visa but not have to change my tax status at all? Just stay in Portugal for 7 days per year without having to change my current life situation too much. So we've covered that, but it'll be good to go over it again.
Yes.
Please, Henry.
No, exactly as I was saying a while ago. One thing is your tax status, another thing is your immigrant status. So yes, it's exactly as George says. The fact that you're investing in golden visa doesn't imply any kind of tax residency or tax burden in Portugal. Okay, not at all. So especially if you are going to invest in funds, which is attractive from a tax perspective, the fact that you are going to invest in the Portuguese golden visa doesn't imply that you are going to pay taxes here. Not at all. Okay, one thing will be your tax status, a complete different thing will be your immigrant status.
Lovely. Thank you, Henry. One for you, Chris. A question from Ben. Ben's asking or suggesting that he's got a US portfolio, but he doesn't want to sell it to fund the investment. How does the asset leverage finance option actually work, and who can he speak to?
Okay, that's good. I mean, the asset finance option actually works. Basically, you can talk to whoever custodies your money. We have people that will lend against these kind of assets. This is a very straightforward way that wealthy people do it, and it's an application form. It's a loan application secured against your portfolio. So they will look at the risk profile of your portfolio, will determine how much they lend you. They will look at your ability to repay, and from that you will get the golden, not the golden. You'll get the money granted to put into the golden visa. So we work with many clients on this basis, and for all the reasons I said earlier. Because it means you don't have to crystallize an event, which is really important because timing is everything in investment. So you decide the timing, and equally, as I said, because we can get access in the European markets of some pretty competitive interest rates. If you get the right golden visa funds and the golden visa funds produce more than you're paying interest, then effectively you're leveraging and making money off the borrowing. So who can you speak to? Please just drop me a line or press the contact us button, and you'll be put in touch with one of my team or myself, and we'll sit down and have a Google Meet call probably, and just run through the options and let you know how it works. But it's a very, very straightforward process. If you send us over a copy of your portfolio beforehand, we can even say to you, right, okay, based on that portfolio, this is the kind of lending we can get you.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for clarifying. Question from Laura, and probably one for Henrik, this one. Can my children benefit from the residency even if they're already adults?
Yes, they can. Okay, it's just for everyone who's listening. I have children with 31 years old, okay, included in family reunification requests. So as I was saying a while ago, there's no limit of age for the family unification requests. Of course, that it will be kind of weird if all of a sudden we have a son with 50 years old or 55 years old. It would be a kind of unnatural. But let me tell you that I listened to the other day that it's possible. Why? Because if you the only two requirements that you need to comply with in order for your children to be eligible for the family unification requests are the following. First, they can't be married, so we need to demonstrate. Each country has its own document. In the States, it would be an affidavit. In other places, it would be the registration testifying that declaring that the person is not married. So we need to demonstrate first that they are single, then that they are enrolled as full-time students somewhere in the world. Okay, if we comply with these two requirements, the children can be included. There are no limit of ages. And as I was saying, I'm going to repeat, I have one son of the main applicant with 30, well, now 32 years old. And he was just, and he went now for biometrics. So no, there is no limit of age. We just need to comply with these two requirements. So yes, your children can be included as long as we comply with these two requirements.
Okay, thank you, Henrik. And keeping with the family theme, Jacqueline has just got a question. Can two sisters who plan to reside together apply together, similar to a married couple, or their application investments would be completely separate?
Yeah, so siblings, yes. Unfortunately, siblings are not included in the family unification request. Okay. If we are talking about two normal, if one sister, I already had the case where a brother was dependent on the other, but because he was handicapped and he had some kind of difficulties. Okay, but only in these specific cases where if one of the sisters depend on the other, yes. But if it's just to use the same investment to try to get one golden visa for two sisters, no, the sisters, this would need to be two different siblings are not included in the family unification request as long as they are dependents for any specific reason. So in principle, and according to the information that Jacqueline is providing us with, it will need to be two different golden visas.
Okay, and continuing with the family theme, another question from Serge. Can family unification, spouse's mother, be done after the initial application?
Really pertinent question. So the family unification request can be filed anytime during the golden visa lifetime. So imagine if all of a sudden your parents complete 65 years old, or if you have a baby, of course, yes, and imagine you are in the third year of the golden visa, you can include either a parent or a child, of course, yes. You can include anyone as long as they are eligible, of course, in the family unification request during the lifetime of the golden visa.
Okay. I'm just having a look here. Just a question. I know I can see that one of our colleagues has answered it, but maybe you could give an alternative. This is from Malika. Hi, can I reside immediately after making the investment, that is, before the card? What risk do I and my family run?
Okay.
So you were talking before, weren't you, Henrik, about potentially applying for a visa alongside it?
I want to say something else before. So, first of all, formally, no. Okay, formally the answer is no. So the fact that you made the investment and applied for the golden visa does not give you any specific right. Okay, so formally the answer is no. Having this said, let me tell you that I had many American clients that were waiting on a golden visa, didn't want to move forward with the claim, with anything else, and they traveled with an invitation letter saying that they had an ongoing golden visa for 2 or 3 years. Okay, or for 2 years while they were waiting, immediately after COVID, when we got an overload. So formally the answer is no, but we could eventually try. What we started doing, because it's Malika, right, who's asking this?
Yeah.
Because what would be the risk? The risk would be that if you're entering, because if you make the investment and if you stay within Portugal and within the European Union, you would have no issues. But if you leave and re-enter Europe, you would have some issues. So what we usually advise in this, if you want to reside in Portugal immediately after making the investment, what we have been suggesting and what we are doing with many of our clients is asking for a different type of visa while you wait for your golden visa. So imagine you make the investment, we ask for the golden visa. It may take a while until all the process is finished. But if you want to reside in Portugal, what we can do is we can ask for a D7 visa, a digital nomad visa, whichever visa would suit your situation better, which is issued by the consulate within 90 days, a residence visa, and then an effective permit. While you are waiting for the golden visa, we can ask you for a different type of visa. When you get the golden visa, we will not renew the different type of visa that you asked in the meantime. So most of the clients who want to reside in Portugal after making the investment and before having the cards, that's what we are doing. We are issuing a different type of visa because it's issued at the consulate while they are waiting for the golden visa. But Malika, if you like, we can discuss this. You can book a call and we can discuss this further.
Lovely. Thank you, Henrik. Thank you. I think we've pretty much covered all of the questions now. So, but just before we sort of wrap up, maybe I could just ask both of you, Chris and Henrik, really just to sort of give the audience sort of one key takeaway, like a closing statement from today's discussion. Start with you, Chris.
I think my closing statement would be, if you're looking for a plan B, if anyone's on here and that's your plan, he's looking for a plan B. And as Henrik said earlier, there's so much going on in the world. Portugal should be at the top of your list of places to look, because of all the things we've been through today, because of the flexibility, because of the country, because of the security, connectivity, all of those things. I think to have the option of only spending 14 days every 2 years in a country is something that is well, pretty much priceless. And if you've got the €500,000, or you've got assets of €500,000 or slightly more, we can work a way for you to get that golden visa.
Oh, thank you, Chris. And Henrik?
I would just add that because as you know, we have been speaking a lot about this amendment to the citizenship law and how these affect the investor's decision and all that. I wanted to add the following: it's important for everyone to note that the Portuguese golden visa program is live and kicking. Okay, we are filing golden visas every week. The citizenship is still being granted, and the ball keeps running exactly as before. The only difference, even if so, the odds of these Portuguese golden visa rules passing from 5 to 10 years are considerable. In principle, that's what's going to happen. Okay, but it's important for everyone to note that this will not cancel any kind of goals. This will only delay the goals that everyone has. So everything is kept exactly the same. The only difference is that it may take a little bit longer until everyone gets the Portuguese citizenship. And then, of course, you can come and say, but I'm going to have many more costs because it's now 10 years. And I will say no, okay, because there's already a common understanding according to which. So we didn't speak about this during the call. It's good that I remind to add this. So after 5 years of golden visa, you can ask for a permanent residency. What authorities are doing now is that they are giving the permanent residency at the sixth year, okay, at the third renewal. So there is already a common understanding in the market that within the people working in immigration that once you get the permanent residency, you don't need to keep the investment. Which means basically that the only thing that it's added to the costs you already had before this legal amendment, it's one renewal. Okay, so the difference of course it's not that relevant. Of course we are talking about a different period of time, but for all of those who look at this as a back plan or a plan B, I don't think that would make that much of a difference. So the main idea is this amendment to the law is not canceling any goals, it's just delaying a little bit the goals, but the program is alive and kicking, and we keep filing golden visas and keep receiving approvals of citizenships. So let's get yours. It's this, Steve.
Lovely. Thank you, guys. Thank you. So yeah, obviously appreciate both Henrik and Chris's time today, and thank you for your expert insight into this topic. To our audience, obviously, thank you for joining us and staying with us. If you'd like to reach out to arrange a call on an obligation basis with either one of my team to discuss the Golden Visa, or from a wealth management perspective, one of Chris's team, please click on the Contact Us button. And again, if you wanted to reach out and speak to Henrik, again, just contact us and we will arrange that for you. So thank you very much for being with us today. To see all of our next webinars or our upcoming webinars, please visit our website at www.portugalpathways.io or click on the button on your screen. Until next time, I wish you well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.